Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, Presidency clears the air and orders investigation on the controversial report on conversation between President Jonathan and Moroccan King Mohammed VI. Military discovers a bomb factory belonging to Boko Haram at Buniyadi in Yobe State. Shock over Lekki robbery incident. Police and Lagos State government begin a manhunt for the robbers. And South Africa raises concerns over allegations, alleged use of its nationals as mercenaries in the war against Boko Haram.
On business news, the Nigerian equities market week-to-date loss stands at minus 1.0% as more companies turn in their full-year results for 2014.
And on sports news, Nigeria's table tennis golden boy Aaron Okoji qualifies for the semi-finals of the 2015 ITTF World Tour in Lagos.
It's been a big issue, but now the presidency seems to have cleared the air on the controversial conversation believed to have held between President Goodluck Jonathan and King of Morocco, Mohammed VI. Did President Jonathan speak with the Moroccan king? Well, the president's media advisor, Dr. Ruben Abati, told journalists categorically today that the president had no conversation with the King of Morocco. But this is contrary to earlier statements from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that Dr. Jonathan spoke with the Moroccan king. He says the matter is being investigated.
President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is shocked, surprised, and highly embarrassed by the controversy that has erupted over whether or not he had a telephone conversation with His Majesty King Mohammed VI of Morocco. The regrettable furore that has developed over the matter is due entirely to misinformation, as President Jonathan has neither spoken with King Mohammed VI nor told anybody that he had a telephone conversation with the Moroccan monarch. It is true that President Jonathan has been speaking with some African leaders to seek their support for Nigeria's candidate for the position of President of the African Development Bank. In continuation of his efforts in support of the candidacy of the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, for the headship of the ADB, President Jonathan indicated that he would like to speak with the King of Morocco, the President of Algeria, and the President of Egypt. The President has, however, not yet spoken with King Mohammed VI of Morocco and President al-Sisi of Egypt, as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs should know. President Jonathan has therefore ordered the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Aminu Wali, to urgently undertake a full investigation of the claim which emanated from the ministry that the President spoke with King Mohammed VI.
The Nigerian troops today advance into Buniyadi town in Yobe State, a village liberated from the Boko Haram insurgents. Now, it's a town described as one of the strongholds of the insurgents in the state. A bomb-making company belonging to Boko Haram has been discovered there by the military. The Director of Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade, told journalists in Abuja today that the discovery was made following the ongoing cordon and search by troops in Buniyadi in Gujba local government area of Yobe State. Well, according to the General Olukolade, the factory is located in a fertilizer company which was converted by the terrorists for production of all types of improvised explosive device. At the moment, the military troops are still evacuating the materials, which include a large quantity of suicide bomb vests from the facility. General Olukolade also explained that the terrorists have been sacked from Buniyadi after a fierce assaults by the military last weekend. He says this discovery was further degraded the capability of the terrorists in the production of explosives around the state. In the meantime, though, the South African government has expressed concerns over what it calls the use of South Africans as mercenaries in Nigeria in the war against Boko Haram. Although the Nigerian government, Through the coordinator of the National Information Center, Mr. Michael Mary said that the foreigners are being used as training partners, but South Africa says its men may be involved in fighting. Nigeria recently acquired helicopter gunships and tanks from South Africa and former Soviet Union countries that needs technical assistance to handle the facility. While Nigeria has recently recaptured several towns and villages from Boko Haram in the northeast part of the country. The British Deputy High Commissioner to Nigeria, Ambassador Simon Shercliffe, has asked the Nigerian government to hasten the implementation of the United Nations Arms Trade Treaty in order to mop up the small arms and light weapons which have aided the activities of insurgents in the northeast of the country. Ambassador Shercliffe said although Nigeria had signed and ratified the treaty at the international level, there is still need to domesticate it, especially in view of the country's security situation. Now, the president of the West African Action Network on Small Arms, Mr. Balfour Amoa, said that Nigeria must take this important step to help control the illegal transfer of weapons within and across countries in the region.
This conference in Abuja at the instance of the West African Action Network on Small Arms is aimed at addressing the coordinated regulation of the trade and transfer of small arms and light weapons within the country and across its borders. With the security situation in Nigeria, discussions here are centered around the signing and implementation of the United Nations Arms Treaty to help federal government keep tighter control on the proliferation of light weapons in the country.
There is a huge amount of small arms that have been trafficked into Nigeria that are being used in this conflict up in the northeast. And day in, day out, they are causing damage. They are killing people, injuring people, innocent people, women, children, civilians, people who are in no way deserving of such a fate.
The Arms Trade Treaty is the first legally binding document to regulate the trade and transfer of arms across the world. The West African arms body said it took about 7 years to draw up the treaty, which has so far been ratified by 63 member states of the United Nations.
You will not believe that until now, since 18th century, when ammunition and guns and so on were invented, there has never been any instrument to regulate the way these weapons are traded. But we have a number of protocols that even guide the way tomatoes are sold and bought. And you can imagine the risk we were all facing and we are still facing, because it was easy for ammunition to be sold to anybody who had money to do whatever they liked.
Nigeria is at present battling insurgents in the northeast, and so far the army has reported the recovery of all manners of weapons in the counter-insurgency operations. Such proliferation and security threat is what the ratification and domestication of this arms treaty is set to check. Omelogo, Nadi Channels Television News.
Governor Kashim Shettima of Borno State says that he is optimistic that insurgency will soon end in his state and the whole of the northeast. The governor says that with the renewed vigor of the military and with support from the multinational Joint Task Force, the problem of insurgency will soon be history. He assured residents of the state that his administration will not rest until peace returns to the state. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor reports.
As the April 2015 governorship elections draw near, politicians have continued to canvass for votes from the electorate. In Borno State, Governor Kashim Shettima, who took his campaign to the southern part of the state, expressed optimism that the end of insurgency, which has ravaged the state throughout his first tenure, will soon come to an end.
By our military authorities, in conjunction with Chad, Niger and Cameroon, we believe that the end to this madness is not power. Inshallah, very soon we shall have an enduring peace in this part of the world.
He promised that his administration will hit the ground running as soon as peace returns to the state to alleviate the sufferings of the people.
Allah ya kawo mana zaman lafiya a kasanmu da state namu da arewa maso gabas. Don ba abin da za a kammala ba abin da za a kulla in ba zaman lafiya.
On their path, some traditional rulers and indigents of the state pledged their loyalty to the governor.
abu ne na Allah saboda haka in zan yi wani jihadi dogon jihadi har ma zan yi kuskure saboda haka murnar da ya nuna mishi shi ne ya koma ta annabi kayan ayyuka da dama a cikin wanda ba taɓa yin tun da ake da sai Allah.
The governor campaign did not stop there. He also visited victims of the insurgency in hospitals all over the state with a directive that all victims be given adequate medical care at the expense of the government. Governor Shettima hopes that the support given during the campaign will translate to votes that will enable him return as governor of the state. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, rainstorm wreaks havoc on Orile Agege area of Lagos. That's in a moment. Stay with us.